Okay, so this question asks what is a multiplier effect? So the multiplier effect is a process in which a change in autonomous expenditure leads to a change in real GDP. So let's draw a graph on it. So on the graph, the x-axis is real GDP, and the y-axis is the real aggregate expenditure. And we have the 45-degree line. And on 45-degree line, the total output or real GDP equals the real aggregate expenditure. So this is a 45-degree line. So let's think about the graph for aggregate expenditure. It looks like this. So this is the aggregate expenditure 1. So we know that the macro equilibrium achieves when real GDP equals aggregate expenditure. So it should be this point here. So we'll get our, let's use Y1 to stand for it. So we'll get our first equilibrium real GDP Y1. And let's think about if there's some change in aggregate expenditure. So let's think about if there's some decrease in government purchase. So if some decrease happens in government purchase, we know that it is a part of aggregate expenditure. So we will see a vertical downshift of aggregate expenditure from AE1 to AE2. So still the same thing. Okay, so let's use this 8.8 to stand for this one. And we know that the new macro equilibrium achieves when aggregate expenditure equals real GDP. So it should be this point here. So this point is point B. So if we find it, it should be Y2 here. And you could see that the aggregate expenditure decreased by this amount, but the real GDP decreased more than it. So that is definitely a multiplier effect. So the real GDP declined by the drop in government purchase multiplied by the value of multiplier. So that result in the real GDP decrease is actually more than the aggregate expenditure decrease.